Hey guys, this is how I went about building a Mancala board. It is also known as Alagulimane in my local dialect. Thank you for checking out this video. The fourth hole got screwed up, damaged totally. I didn't realize. It started moving. This hasn't moved, this is fixed. But I think I moved my hand. I started working in the background. Backyard, because it was windy in the front and it started raining. So I used my wife's umbrella and clamped it to the jaws. Okay, I had to change the work procedure because of the error of one of the, hole, gouging the hole. So now what I did is I used a speed square. I had already marked. So once this was butt against this, and this is butt against this edge. So two edges are covered. Then I put a trigger clamp on this side to secure the router. Instead of holding it with one hand, I secured it. And then once that was secured, I removed the speed square and the trigger clamp, and then put the clamp here on the router itself, so on both sides. So now the router is secured, this side, and this side, so it cannot move that side. And I could not get the required thickness in oak, so I thought of continuing in this wood itself. Started the work, did 3 holes. Again started raining. It's all wet. Now it stopped, but the clouds, very dark clouds. So I don't have the umbrella today, so I used my winter jacket. Finally the whole work is all done. 7 holes. And I have sanded all those edges, the sides rather, 1, 2, 3 and bottom. It didn't take long because I had, despite the rain, I just worked during breaks and finished it. The actual work did not take long because I had already done the prep work yesterday, measurements and marking, and also established the best work procedure in terms of securing the router using 2 clamps, so that way there was no error or kickback movement of the router. I decided against using a router bit, a round over bit, and at the same time I wanted to break the edges. It's also known as breaking the edges, to soften the corners, edges, so that it doesn't splinter. So instead of using a round over bit, which is again a lot of work, dust and all that, I decided to use a sanding block. At a 45-degree angle, I just do this. Approximately, seeing every few times, I decided to use Danish oil. Once this is done, I'll clean up then start applying the Danish oil. Okay, it's now time to apply the finishing touch, the oil, Danish oil. I'm planning to use this one. This is clear, somewhere it was written. Yeah, natural finish, but you also get tints, and you can also add tints if you want to, but this is natural finish. And this is very highly flammable, so any rags, in fact you can apply using paper towels or a brush. If needed, you can use gloves. If needed, I'll use. Otherwise, since I'm applying that brush only when I want to lift the workpiece, I'll use gloves. And all the used paper towels, because it is highly inflammable, it combusts. It is better you put all the used towels and then reuse again for the second coat and third coat and then finishing touch in an airtight container so that it is out of danger. And before using this, last time I used it almost 2 years ago when I built my lap steel guitar, also known as Hawaiian guitar. I used this oil, Danish oil, so it's better you shake it well, thoroughly, and then apply in a container so that you don't contaminate the contents. You don't have to worry about the direction of brushing, unlike some of the other finish. You can brush in any direction, no issues, but you'll have to dry it after the first coat. Put enough sufficient coat the first time because it will absorb, wood will absorb, and then you'll have to let it sit for about 15-20 minutes and then wipe off the excess using the paper towel, and then let it dry for about 4-5 hours before applying the second coat. And if needed, you can sand a little bit so that the sanded particles fill in the gaps and then make it smoother. So that's the idea. So this is done, all sides I have done. I'll use only one area so that I touch that area later. Safe place for it to, after about 15 minutes I will wipe off the excess oil. I don't need the gloves now. So I'm now cutting the slots for the hinges. These are the small hinges I want to use. Essentially it will sit like that, flush. Likewise, one will be here, and the same way on the other piece. The slots for the hinges, 2 hinges are now cut, and now I'll have to install it and then do a final coat, oil coat, because I could have avoided it, but if you observe closely, there are marks because of the raindrops. By the time I brought the second piece, I think a few raindrops had fallen, and that has caused blemish, like a blemish. So anyway, after installing the hinge, any final adjustment to the edges when it mates, I've already sanded it, but there could be a minor change once the hinges are in place. So once that is done, I'll do a final coat. And here is the finished product, Mancala board, also known as Alagulimane in my local dialect in Karnataka, India. In hindsight, I think I should have used a better wood, but it was easy to work with this wood, but the wood was warped, because of which, despite giving the slot for the hinge to make it flush, it's not square because of the warp. You can see the warp in the wood here. This piece is warped. Anyway, so this is the finished product, and this is how it looks inside, and this is how it looks outside. I have used Danish oil, 3 layers, 3 coats, and these were the initial holes, a little damaged, I would say, because of the wrong pressure, but the rest of the holes have come out well.